I'm a real estate agent, so why am I making a video about negatives of Boston? Isn't my goal to get you to move to Boston and help you buy a house? Yes, it's true. But at the same time, I was watching other YouTube videos similar to this, and I noticed that people's comments. I said, you know what, I'm gonna make the most honest video I can, and if people can't live with those negatives, they will be unhappy here and they will make unhappy clients. So I rather tell you the absolute truth, and this is my opinion. Feel free to comment if you disagree with my opinion. I love all the interaction, and I want to thank you, my friend, for subscribing to my channel, for commenting, for liking. And if I sound like I hate Boston, that can't be further from the truth. I love Boston. I'd rather be here than anywhere else. This is Noune and the Boston area homes. Consider subscribing because I bring you important information about buying and selling real estate and enjoying life in the Boston area. Boston is focused on high tech, on biotechnology, medicine, education. So there are a lot of jobs available here. Download my relocation guide to get detailed information about moving to the Boston area. It's in the description box below. Number one is cost of living. Boston is an expensive city. Everything is expensive. The real estate, the rents, the auto insurance, the taxes. Why is it so expensive? Because, well, if jobs are here, it becomes popular. Boston's average cost of living is higher than many cities in US. According to nerdwallet.com, Boston is more expensive than Miami, Chicago, and Philadelphia. Boston's cost of living is lower though than Manhattan, Washington DC, San Francisco, Honolulu, and even Seattle, according to nerdwallet.com. Please write in the comments if you lived in Boston and another town, and how did it feel, the cost of living? Which one was more expensive? Number two is traffic. Now, the traffic is nowhere close to big cities like Manhattan or Los Angeles, but it's still pretty tight because Boston architecture is very old and the streets are curved, and it creates a lot of bottlenecks. It's also very confusing to drive here, so people who are coming from cities that have grid-like streets, they will hate driving here. In Boston, rush drivers can be pretty rude. Number three is parking. Parking is very difficult in Boston. So if you're working in Boston and you live in the close suburbs, usually the best way is to use public transportation. You can use one of the public parking garages. For example, Boston Common Garage in downtown Boston is $18 for 2 hours or $32 for 24 hours. Public transportation is not as efficient as it could be. MBTA services, they have buses and also subway and even ferries, but it's not as efficient or as spread out as it can be. As I understand, Boston has one of the best public transportations in US, but compared to Europe, it's really not stacking up. Hours of operation vary, but most bus and train services start around 5 a.m. and end around 1 a.m. There is no late night or overnight train service in Boston. Generally, service runs more frequently on weekdays than on weekends and off-peak hours. What if I want to go from, let's say, Lexington to Arlington or between one of those suburbs? It's really, the drive is maybe 5-10 minutes, but if you don't have a car and you're relying on public transportation, that means you need to take the bus to Cambridge, to Harvard Square, where the hub is, and then from there take another bus to go to the other suburbs. So the road might be only a couple of miles, but you might spend 45 minutes on the public transportation on the bus. Number 5 is long and cold winters. Now, you probably know this already. Boston winters, sometimes, some years, it can be very snowy and it can snow non-stop, and it's hard to get out, it's hard to park, it's hard to get your car out of the parking. It's just very, very messy. So besides that, it gets really cold. So if you're a person who cannot tolerate cold weather, you will hate it in Boston. I'm sorry to say. Because Boston winters are not short. They usually last at least 3 months, if not longer. At the Logan International Airport, located right on the coast, the January daily average temperature is 29.5 Fahrenheit. I have a video about Boston winters, so make sure to watch that one. Boston homes are very, very old. There is, of course, new construction happening, and we as real estate agents, we see houses built in 1800s. We see a lot of houses built in early 1900s. If you don't like old homes, you don't like history, you want everything new and fresh, you will hate Boston. People who are coming from East Coast, they cannot believe that they have to spend $1 million plus to get a very, very old house. And number 7 is hot and short summers. Summers can be beautiful. They can be amazing if you have the time to enjoy them. Let's say from Memorial Day to Labor Day, it's about 15 weeks, and if like 3-4 weeks are rainy, so you cannot go to the beach, and a couple of weekends you're busy because of work or something else, you might miss the summer. Temperatures a lot of times do not get to hot beach temperatures until like mid-June, so you have really a couple of months to enjoy hot beach days. But when it's perfect, it's really perfect. Also, we have at least a month, maybe 2-3 weeks, when it gets really, really humid, and that's when you need to lose your hair straightener and embrace your frizzy, curly hair. Average summer high temperature ranges from 76 to 82 Fahrenheit. So with all these negatives, what makes people stay in Boston? To get that answer, go to my video that is next, which is about the positives of Boston. And I have to say, there are so many more positives than negatives. I learned to live with negatives and sometimes even love them, and I hope you will too.